It's the Seth Williams Show with Mike Musachio. And here's your host, Seth Williams and Mike Musachio. And welcome to another Wednesday.
The first day of March.
It is the first day of March and a gorgeous day outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually, I stepped out on the patio today, so it was actually kind of nice out, and seemed like it was a beautiful day. And they were calling for 3 to 5 inches. That's what she said on Friday of snow.
Right.
And now they have changed that
To
now
what?
To be a high of 47 and rain.
Oh, damn. You got to get the rain in. I want to play golf so bad, almost as bad as I want to barbecue.
And yeah, I want to barbecue too, but I need a grill. That's one thing I have to get for this this new house of ours. I got to get a grill. Well, I love barbecuing. I used to love actually barbecuing. One of the first places I lived, I had a nice grill, and I would go outside of the patio with it. It was a tiny little patio.
Mm-hmm.
It was like me and the grill fit on the patio. But still, I'd open up a beer and sit there and grill some chicken away and have a good time. I just loved it.
Yeah,
and I haven't had a grill now in almost 18 years.
Jesus. When's your birthday?
So, July 1st.
All right.
I intend on having a grill by then.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I got to get something here. Now I have a nice patio and a nice place to actually. There's like a slab outside the patio.
Yeah, it's nice there.
The grill, and I'd love to be able to do that. And plus, I think it's probably a little bit healthier. I can cook chicken and pork chops and stuff like that. I'm not gonna probably do the burger thing, but
I can teach you salmon.
Yeah, salmon. I've never had that, so I'm gonna try that. But yeah, they changed the weather report to just rain now. Maybe some snow overnight. It looks like, but nothing major. Seems like everything major seems to be hitting us. However, I did hear that one of the weather persons, weather people. I got to watch how I gender people. I don't want to misgender anybody at this point.
No kidding.
They did say that it was going to be a snowy March. So we'll see.
They haven't been right yet. So, But we'll take it. What we got. I will tell you this. You got to admit, every major storm feels like it stops just short of us or starts just past us.
Yeah. There's
all kinds of stuff north, south, east, and west of us this winter that just missed us completely. We got lucky this year. We got lucky.
Scott is correct. Tony will come over and do a food review from my home when I'm actually able to grill something.
There you go.
That would be fun. Yeah, I can just move all my stuff downstairs, do the show from the patio, and have Tony review the food as it comes across the grill there.
Sweet.
So that would be interesting. All right, so real quick, we got Tony Musachio coming up in just a little bit. He's going to be live from a place, I think, in Bedford Heights.
Okay.
Then we have Erik Ferentinos coming on at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
A longtime guitarist of Stephen Pearcy. If you don't know Stephen Pearcy from the band Rat. Back in the day, and Stephen Pearcy is a crazy dude. But we'll talk with Erik about a whole bunch of different things. He's a conspiracy guy. He had some health issues when he was here in Ohio one time. We'll talk about that. The health scare, and just about the life of being a rock star. We'll get into all that stuff with him. So today, get this. So my wife and daughter go out to the car in the morning, and the car was frozen over. There's still some boxes in the garage that we haven't put away yet, so both cars don't fit in the garage yet.
Okay.
But her car was frozen over. So my daughter gets to school probably like 5 minutes late. That was it, 5 minutes, whatever. And I get a message from my daughter freaking out because they gave her a detention for being a few minutes late.
What?
No, she's never late. She's not a chronically late person. So it's unusual. I mean, it never happens. And she's freaking out because she doesn't want a detention to go on a record and all that kind of stuff, whatever.
Right.
Okay, so I said, well, one, my wife should get the detention because maybe she should have gone out to the car, started it up beforehand, or been prepared for such an incident. Instead, they switch cars and have taken mine, but still just a couple minutes late. So, one, give the detention to my wife. Don't punish the kid for something that wasn't really her fault. Number two, I get an email probably about 5 minutes after she had texted me and said that she got a detention for being late, which is just stupid. But it's from the school district. And the school district says, that principal, vice principal, whoever sent the email, says, all right, forgive us, but because of staffing issues and other issues, there may be bus delays going to school or coming home from school. And I'm sitting here saying, well, wait a second. And if my daughter's late coming home, then I want the bus driver or the principal or whoever's in charge to go to detention.
Amen.
I mean, you're not going to sit here and say that because we had a problem in the morning because of the car, that she's going to get a detention. And then, they're going to send me an email saying, oh, by the way, your kid might be late getting to school or late getting home because of a bus situation. So, but that's not a problem? No, it is a problem. If you're going to give her detention for that crap, then you're going to get a detention. I want all the bus drivers to stay home from school or stay after school when they get back from their route. I mean, that's kind of a ridiculous thing, I think.
Did you make that phone call?
I did not, because I really don't want to embarrass my daughter. Now that I just did, but still, I just thought that was kind of an odd thing.
It's way odd. Whatever happened to the first warning and stuff like that? I mean,
look, stuff happens. All right, I understand if a kid is late all the time. I get it,
right?
Because if your kid's just lollygagging around the house, doesn't want to move, get his ass in gear, and that kind of thing, then I get it. But when your kid's never late, doing pretty good in school, and just happens to be late one time, and they're going to get a detention without a warning. Now, look, it's not going to go on any kind of record. It's not a big deal.
No.
She didn't actually have to stay after school. Got to serve it, I guess, in the morning or some crap like that. But then you're going to send me an email, though, saying that the buses might be late picking up, dropping off, or whatever. Well, they should get a detention. The school people should get a detention.
If you're 5 minutes late to detention, what do? Give you a vicious beating?
Yes, I believe that is the case. Yeah.
Where's
Joe? What did he miss? Nice one, James. Good vibes. Yeah, so I just thought that was kind of an interesting, kind of weird.
It's stupid.
Thing. But, schools these days. We're going to actually talk about schools these days after 5:30.
Oh, please.
Found an interesting video, and it's going on all across the country. It's something that I've seen a lot of, and schools these days, I'm not sure what they're teaching our kids.
I know what they're not teaching our kids. All that stuff that you played Monday on that man on the street stuff. They don't know who the president is. They don't know how long he serves for. They don't know how a bill becomes a law. They don't know how many states there are in the union. They don't know who's on the $20 bill. They don't know up from down. That one thing where he asked her a time and she said an hour instead of 4 years. Yeah. And then she goes, oh, I thought you meant time because time is only on a clock.
Yeah, I don't know if I still have
that.
It's
just unbelievable.
How long does each president serve their term?
I really don't know.
Take a guess, around how long?
Like time?
Yeah.
An hour?
No, like years.
Oh, I said time and you said yeah.
Yeah, I count that.
7.
Yes, I'm sorry for confusing you. What language do the people in Idaho speak?
I don't know.
You've never been?
Nope.
How many make up 1 dozen?
Like 5, 4. I don't know.
Take a guess. What number?
10.
Yeah.
I got to tell you something. Somebody came up to me in Mark's and asked if Mark's had cheese.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a grocery store, so it's like,
no,
chances are pretty
have cheese. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Now you brought up the fact that you were there. I was with you the other day at Mark's.
Yeah.
And the guy asked, "Where's the detergent?"
Yeah.
And like, I hate to tell people, like the signs are pretty well marked.
Yeah, the ones that hang from the ceiling are pretty indicative of what's on the aisle.
You know, they're bright red. They got the white lettering. They're pretty easy to read. I mean, my vision's not the greatest at times, but I can still figure out where stuff was. And yeah, generally just look up in the sky. You can see. I mean, unless maybe he was illiterate, maybe he couldn't read. I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Well, in fairness, though, that is the beauty of Mark's, because Mark's is the only store where you'll walk in and say, "Where are the diapers at?" And they'll say, "Over next to the car batteries," because they'll just put stuff anywhere.
Well, I like Mark's. I love
going
there. The only problem I have with that store, we're going to get more into the school stuff after 5:30 because there's another video and it's kind of graphic, but we're going to play it and talk about it for a little bit. But the one thing I don't like about Mark's at this point is that they seem to have no staff at all. Like when we go to the one by us, there might be a register open.
Oh, yeah.
And you're lucky if you can get your stuff. Yeah. You have a few things, go up to the service counter and, check out there because there just isn't a whole lot of people working.
We're babysitting today. We have my girlfriend's 5-year-old grandson who's just a hoot and really, really smart. So we went out and fed the ducks. We went for a walk. We came back and he asked for a Happy Meal. And there's a McDonald's not far from the house. So I jump in the car. And when I get there, because it was right at lunchtime, the line is around the block, which we'll talk about some other day. So I park my car to run into the McDonald's and get in and out. There are 3 cash registers in there, and they all have signs that say, "Please use the kiosk."
Yeah.
And only pay cash here if absolutely necessary. And the kiosk won't let you order without asking 50 million questions. You push Happy Meal, it says, "Do you want a pie with that?" And it's like, if I wanted a pie, I would have pushed pie. And then I wanted to check out, and it's like, "Are you sure you don't want to have this?" And instead of yes, no, it's like, "Maybe next time." I don't want the kiosk to tell me just.
It's a hassle, man.
85 million people out of work, and you can't get I was at Walmart getting stuff, and they've gone to all self-checkout. And I asked the lady as I walked by, she goes, "It'll be just a minute." I said, "What are we going to have to do next year? Unload the truck?" We're going to have to just walk up and down the semis and pick out our own stuff so that you don't have jobs where people put stuff on shelves anymore. And here's the thing. Where are these people going to work, Seth? Not everybody's going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. No. There are some people that are going to need jobs putting stuff on shelves or sweeping floors.
Yeah, you're right. Walmart is the biggest.
Man.
I went there, just the other day, and they had one register that actually had a person behind the counter there, behind the register. Yeah. And there was a bunch of people in line because they literally had too much stuff to go through those checkouts.
Exactly.
The carts were so filled that they couldn't just go through those self-checkouts because those self-checkouts, they'd have bags piled on the floor if they went through the self-checkouts.
Right,
it's ridiculous. They just, and you're right. So where are all these people going to work? They're not. That's the problem. The government's going to end up taking care of these people, and that's not a good thing.
And you go through self-checkout. If you buy an onion, the lights go off and somebody's got to run over because you can't, just show the machine an onion. It's unbelievable.
Gunner says nobody wants to work. Now, my problem is that I want to work. I can't actually drive to work yet. So that's an issue that I'm having. And, the problem with these services now is that there are people out there that really need services and need help because of whatever circumstances happen to them, whether it's health or whatever.
Yeah.
And they can't get the services because there's a lot of people out there just taking advantage of them, or places like Walmart aren't hiring anymore.
I got to tell you, as part of this trip to McDonald's, because what should have been 5 minutes was 20, but I made a joke to the gentleman that was also waiting for his food and had to go through the kiosks. As a matter of fact, it started on the outside. He opened the door for me, and then I went inside, and there's always a second door. So I turned, looked at him, and said, "My turn," and opened up, and he laughed. So then we're in there. We both go through the kiosk experience. And then I started to tell him, look around, 50 million people out of work, and there's nobody here. And he answered me in a really thick African accent. I don't know what country, I don't know where he was from, but he said to me, nobody wants to work. My dad brought us here and I'm only working till I'm 60 years old. And I told all of my kids, I will support you until you're out of this house. And then that's it. Go somewhere. And then he looked at me and he said, because I come from a country where I wanted to come here and get something better. In my country, if you're blind, if you're sick, if you don't have a job, if you have problems, the government doesn't help you at all. You're out of luck. And it was like, wow, that ethic being taught in his house, coupled with what we're going to get to about what's not being taught in schools. If we fix those two things, we'd take a giant leap forward for mankind.
Yeah, we got to get to Tony Musachio, an actual good restaurant that has employees. But my daughter just started working at a fast food kind of joint.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, every single day there's messages from kids that want to switch shifts or get rid of their shifts or whatever. I respect the hell out of my kid because she's a hard worker already, and she's only been there a little bit, and she loves it. And I think she's having a blast. I won't talk about where she is, but
in 6 months' time, she's going to be an assistant manager. You watch.
I hope so, because
she's going to be a shift leader in 6 months. You mark my word. She's
busting her ass already, and I love that.
Cool.
All right, let's go to Tony Musachio, restaurant reporter extraordinaire. Tony, how are you?
Seth, I'm great. Mike, how are you guys doing?
We're great, man. Where are you?
I am at the Touch of Italy, located in Bedford Heights. This was the old Gears and Cheers next to the Harley Davidson dealership right on Aurora Road. This was an old diner. Actually, they have a diner inside of the Harley Davidson, but this was probably about 7 years that they had this location also. Can you see these motorcycles on the wall?
Yes.
It's really cool. So they have some classic bikes here. Honda 1973 250. They have a 1965 Triumph. So when I was 14 years old, I wanted a mini bike, and I told my dad, I am buying a bike. He said, hell no. He said, if you can afford a bike, you can get a motorcycle. So I had two paper routes, a plain dealer route and a press route. I said, if I pay for half the bike, would you pay for the other half? Tony had a bike.
There you go.
And I have the work ethic ever since. Let me just show you this table real quick. Isn't that cool?
Nice.
Yeah. So again, it was an old diner. Now, Touch of Italy, they have a location that is on Lee and Chagrin, which is in Shaker Heights.
Right.
And they opened this one about 2 years ago, and they're doing very well. I'm actually going to walk right to the back bar. So they're open 7 days a week from 11 o'clock until literally midnight. They have parties that you can book. And what's also cool about it is they have a happy hour every day from 11 to 7 p.m. Is that crazy?
That's
11 a.m. to 7
My liver winced.
That's like a working day of a drinker. Come on in, guys.
Place looks great, but I look like I'm in Italy and
Yeah, you look more like you're in Italy than he does.
Say that again, Seth.
Nothing. Go ahead.
We're drooling over the Italian food. I mean, this is you talk about iconic combination.
So this is their back bar. So you can actually rent this out, have a party. They have a ton of birthday parties.
What's in there? Mini bikes?
It really is a big place, and it's really cool because they have everything here from French fries to the owner loves escargot, so he has escargot on the menu.
And this is Touch of Italy.
touch of Italy.
Okay, Harley Davidson and French fries and escargot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smart, right, Mike? And
Thought I missed one.
Mike, and you're going to love this one, how they started. When they were on Lee and Chagrin, it was an old Master's Pizza.
Wow.
Remember those days?
My dad started Master Pizza.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that. Wow.
With Joe Pignet, with Joe Christopher. The original one was in Strongsville in the plaza right there.
Yes. And guess what?
My dad had 4 Angie's. That was my family business. That's why I go nuts every time you're in a restaurant. That's where I learned to cook.
Oh, I didn't ever. That's so interesting. And what's cool about it is, Master Pizza is coming back now, which is really neat. So, Mike, as I had said,
oh my God,
cheeseburger. We've got pasta. I've got Alfredo, and I got to tell you something. For a little place that has. This is escargot. Oh my gosh!
Oh, you're
remember
cruel.
In The Jerk when the escargot was on the table, he said, "Take those snails off the table and give me those cheese bites that you talked me out of. Don't talk me out of this."
No.
That looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and you're not going to finish that, dude. Put it in an envelope and send it to us.
You know, we've got to do a remote one day. There's no two ways about it. So again, they are located at 2333 Aurora Road in Bedford Heights. It is touchofitalycleveland.com, Monday through Friday, as I had said, open from 11 o'clock until literally midnight. They'll stay open until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Is that a river behind you or a parking lot? That looks like a nice view.
It is a cool, yeah, it's really, I just saw that. So the patio that's behind me seats 300 people.
Oh my God!
They have bands in the summertime, and they also have a smoking section, which is really nice. So they sell cigars here. And as I had stated before, 11 to 7 p.m. is their happy hour. So they have reduced prices. They also have on Tuesday nights. Listen to this, guys. With the cost of food that has skyrocketed through the pandemic, this is unbelievable. Tuesdays, 4 o'clock till midnight, wings, 59 cents.
Wow.
Oh.
He's not even making money on this. I mean, literally, it's a loss leader, as we know, Mike, in the restaurant industry, just to get him in the door.
The day we do our remote, and I'm going to ask Seth live right now. The day we do our remote, we change the day of the show to Tuesday.
Absolutely. We have to be out there for Tuesday.
Absolutely is
We're
right.
doing wing night on that patio with 300 people. I'll do comedy for free.
So why don't we do this? Let's talk about this Wednesday before the Feast of the Assumption.
Yeah.
Let's figure this out where we can do a remote down there when they're setting up, and we'll get all the Italian restaurants on the air talking about the feast. Again, we have a lot that we can do in this.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, we're going to make that happen.
Cool.
Yep.
So here's another couple specials. Wednesday is half tequila on 1800 Cuervo and Patron. Half off.
Oh.
Glass of wine on Thursdays is also half off, and it's ladies' night. There's also line dancing on Thursday evenings.
Do the ladies have to take half off?
The ladies are half off. Mike, I love you.
Listen, I did a show that's probably old. Everybody's seen it but me, but I saw it for the first time, made me laugh. I did a comedy show at a bar. I won't name names. But the sign on the wall said, no shirt, guys, no shirt, no shoes, no service. Ladies, no shirt, free beer.
It's a perfect sign.
Show us that table again, man. That food looked fabulous. Show us that table again.
Go ahead. Show the table, Roger. My videographer, Audra, is showing you the table here.
Man.
Great cheeseburger.
Great
fries.
Escargot.
The pasta with the homemade meatballs.
That looks amazing.
Alfredo.
Nice.
Chicken wings are to die for.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
Little chicken Philly. And they just changed the sauce and the cheese on the pizza. Not that they needed to, because it was already delicious, but they really have some great deals on pizza, too. So this is a wonderful place to bring their kids, family in the afternoons. And as I had said, it's also cool in the back where they have a cigar area that you can smoke a cigar, which is very nice.
And with happy hour from 11 o'clock till 7 o'clock, if your kids are losers, you can get smashed.
That's right. Very true, Mike.
Tony,
So, yes.
you know your friend Jim?
Yes.
First time caller, Jim?
Yes, first time calling.
He has a message for you.
What's the message?
You can read it, can't you? Musachio sucks.
I've got a good life. Jim, I've got a great life.
Telling you.
Those wings, only 59 cents. Those are big.
I'm telling you, no kidding. Thanks for noticing that, Cassidy. Yes.
So, hey, Jim, I got a glass of wine in my hand, a
Look
cigar,
at him.
and a table full of food. Go to hell.
Yeah, listen, we watch you every Wednesday night. I feel like I am because you're eating and drinking, and you can hear all the people happy in the background. And I'm staring at the screen drooling.
So again, we'll figure this out. We'll do a remote. I got to get you guys gift cards to some of the restaurants that we've been to. Again, Touch of Italy, located at 23333 Aurora Road in Bedford Heights. touchofitalycleveland.com for all the information. Again, they have a location which is in Shaker on Lee and Chagrin Boulevard, their original store. It's a lot smaller than this, but the food is still the same.
Delicious.
And fortunately, they have a great staff here that, you know, again, we've talked about this on the air before. If you're making money, you're going to stay at the restaurant that you're at. And these girls are making a very nice living here, which is very cool.
Real quick, Tony, I need you to send me a list of all the restaurants in the county that you've never been to that don't know you.
Mike, say that again. Mike, say that one more time. There was a plate that I heard crash in the background. Go ahead, say that.
I want you to send me a list of all the restaurants you haven't been to yet, because with that kind of spread and the way everybody treats you, I'm going to just start showing up and telling people I'm Tony.
Say it again. I had a call coming in. One more time. Restaurants?
What I'm saying is I want a list of all the places you haven't been to yet, because the way they treat you, I'm going to just knock on the door and say, hi, I'm Tony Musachio.
Amen. Me too.
I like that one.
They're going to get 4 Tony Musachios.
Hey, so again, you can always hear me Wednesday evenings on the Seth Williams and Mike Jaselka show. And you can tune me in on Saturday mornings on Flashpoint, 1490 WERE, every Saturday between 10 o'clock and 11. I'm on vacation this Saturday, although the following Saturday, I'm going to be at the barbecue in Ohio City, and we are going to recap that place. Guys, it's one of the best barbecue in the city of Cleveland. Nice. It is unbelievable.
Tony, you ever go to places around the Akron area? Natalie wants to know.
Say it.
Do you ever go to places around the Akron area?
Well, yes, absolutely. You know what? And I'll also do, we got a lot. There's no question. I mean, we're at the tip of the iceberg of these restaurants that have reopened now after the pandemic.
Good.
So,
all right, Tony.
This wealthy gentleman forgets his wedding anniversary. So his wife says, you better have something in that driveway that goes from 0 to 200 in 6 seconds. So the next morning, she opens up the blind. She sees this box in the driveway. Confused, bewildered, she goes out into the driveway. She opens up the box. It's a scale. The husband is now missing. Tony Musachio reporting live at the Touch of Italy in Bedford Heights.
You got a minute?
Everybody knows Tony.
Tony, you got a second?
Yes.
All right. 2 nuns. Mother Superior walks in and says, you have to paint your room. And don't you dare get any paint on your habits. Mother Superior leaves. The 2 nuns look at each other and say, all right, then let's take off all our clothes, put it in the closet, and we won't have to worry. So they paint the whole room almost naked. Knock on the door. The nun goes, who is it? And from the other side of the door, they hear a blind guy. They look at each other and say, what could possibly happen? They open up the door. Guy walks in, says, nice breasts. Where do you want your blinds?
Thank you, Tony.
I love you guys.
You
I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Have a great evening.
Bye. Tony Musachio, live at Touch of Italy, Bedford Heights. Place looks fantastic.
Food looks great.
Food really look good. I don't know what I'm having tonight. I was thinking about hot dogs, and that makes me very sad that that's what he's having for dinner. That's probably his snack before dinner.
Kidding you.
All right. We have Erik Ferentinos coming up at 6 o'clock. Guitarist for Stephen Pearcy from Rat. I'm going to talk to him. Monday of next week, we have Jim Scott coming on. Jim Scott is first-time caller from the Triv Show, but he has a lot of information about climate change. You and him are going to debate a little bit on the climate change theories. Okay. And we'll see how that goes.
That's assuming I even disagree with him, but we can talk.
Right. I mean, you may totally agree. I doubt that, but we'll see.
Okay.
Wednesday next week, we have Dave Landau coming on, comedian. Been on Comedy Central, NBC, I think, a bunch of different networks worldwide. I think he's going to be coming to town sometime soon. And we're going to talk to him on Wednesday of next week, along with Tony again. Coming up in just about 2 minutes, though, I want to get into that video.
Good.
It's kind of graphic. So close your kids' ears for a couple, but this is what's going on with our children.
This is adult radio, and it involves everybody's kids.
It's adult radio, yes, because it's going to be, again, graphic, but it involves what our kids are being taught.
Yep.
So we'll get into that in about 2 minutes. Hang on. Hey, it's Seth from Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road in the Pleasant Valley Shopping Center right next to Big Lots. You got to check out Mario, man. Great guy, does a lot for charities, but can perform miracles with hair. He even made me look clean cut. Does my hair, does a great job. Love talking to the guy while I'm sitting there. It's a great place to go, local business. You gotta go to Mario's Barbershop in Parma. Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road. Again, in Parma, Pleasant Valley Shopping Center, right next to Big Lots. Or give them a call, 216-520-1977. That's 216-520-1977. Mario's Barbershop in Parma.
Trust Joe's Lakewood Computer at 14035 Madison in Lakewood. They have over 30 years of professional service handling laptop and desktop repair services, virus removal, and data migration, and much more. You can trust them with hardware updates to your computer's memory and hard drive. Call 216-651-3880. Whether you need a simple Windows install or you're interested in the latest computers for gaming, call Joe's Lakewood Computer at 216-651-3880.
This is Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers for attorney Will Spiegelberg. Will Spiegelberg is not only a name you know, he's someone you can trust as your attorney no matter the circumstance. Will Spiegelberg is an attorney you can always count on. Will Spiegelberg is the attorney you should contact for all your legal work. When you need an attorney, call Will Spiegelberg at 216-233-4240. Attorney Will Spiegelberg, a great teammate. 216-233-4240.
Right back here on the show. Hope you're having a good Wednesday night. Erik Ferentinos coming up in just a little bit, guitarist. He's got some interesting stories. We'll get into that. Right now, though, this is what's going on with our children. It's graphic, so don't be offended.
And it's everywhere.
But this is not just going on in one school. This is going on all over at many schools throughout the country. So give it a listen.
I'm 11 years old and I go to Wyndham Middle School. I'm a 6th grader. I was in the library and this book was on a stand. I'd like to read you a page. My back over my hips as I ask if we should take our clothes off. And he's saying yes before I finish my sentence. He's pulling off my t-shirt, laughing when I can't undo his shirt buttons. He's undoing my belt. I'm reaching into his bedside drawer for a condom. We're kissing. Again, we're rolling over. Obviously, you can see where this is going. I don't know if it's because we're feeling especially emotional or just tired, or these past couple of weeks have been too much. But this reminds me so much of the first time we had sex. We were both fucking terrified, and the whole thing was kind of terrible because we didn't know what we were doing. But it was good too, so good. because we were a mess of emotions and we were scared and excited and everything felt new. So this sort of feels like that. Nick touches me like he's scared that any minute. Now, this book was at my middle school and it was on a stand. When I rented it out to show my dad it, the librarian asked if I wanted more and if I wanted a graphic novel version.
So that's my son. Went to his library and found that by the entry door of our library. This is the smut that he is finding, all right? I don't care whether it's gay, straight, bisexual, whatever the terms are for all this stuff. Doesn't need to be at our school. Doesn't need to be at my 11-year-old's library. And then as far as genderqueer, I've got a son in the high school as well. And this is bullshit. We know it, all right? We do not need to be having literature that's showing boys how to suck dick, all right? I'm very, very frustrated about it, okay? And you may think that schools know the best for our children. You know who know the best for our children? The parents.
And there you have it. Again, sorry, it's kind of graphic, but that's what's going on in our schools today. Not only that, I mean, there's stuff with they're having drag queens read books to kids that are younger than 11. This kind of stuff is going on in our schools. And the dad was right. Schools somehow think that they know what's best for our kids, but I think what is best for our kids is our parents. The parents know what is best for our kids. I don't need my daughter reading that kind of crap at school. I'm not stupid. I mean, I know that, the things. 11 years old that kid was.
Yeah, no kidding. Once I got past the two first things that jumped out, first of all, the kid said library instead of library.
Yeah.
And number two, when Dad said we don't need a book of how-to instructions, I would agree with him, because if you need how-to instructions, maybe you should be in a special class. But all kidding aside, I'm torn, because as revolting as having to deal with all that stuff is now, I hope and pray that parents do a better job of taking back the job of raising their kids, because an awful lot of this stuff is out there because it's wide open. It's on everybody's cell phone. It's on the internet. It's wherever you can go. I have said this to you before, and I'll say it again, Seth. I am so tired of 99% of the people on the planet all of a sudden have to walk on eggshells so that 1% doesn't feel, infringed upon or uncomfortable. It's too much of stuff to happen by accident, and I don't like everybody being put in a giant Skinner box.
Yeah, I mean, it really is kind of crazy. I mean, during the past year or two, I mean, parents have been called domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
These are people that want the best for their children, and they don't want to have to bow down to the vocal minority that is pushing some of this garbage on them.
I was at UCLA in 75, and I was dating a girl in San Diego, which is an hour and a half drive from LA. And she was going to University of San Diego. I was sitting outside on a really nice spring night, waiting for her to get out of her last class. And this women's studies class walked by, and all the girls had a guy that they were leading around. His hands were tied, and they were leading him around with a rope around his waist. And they were shouting out things that are offensive to women and things that guys do. And they were trying to, it was, and I asked, and they said that it was a sensitivity class. I was a comic back then too. I just hadn't dropped out of school to do it. And I knew then we were on the highway to hell, and it's gotten worse, and they've raised the speed limit.
Yeah, I'm not a prude. I'm not, I certainly don't get offended easily, or if at all. But this kind of stuff, I I never saw my daughter doing it or reading it. I mean, a lot of these things I haven't witnessed personally, but it's going on. It's going on all over the country. And I don't know everything that goes on in my kid's school. I know that.
And nobody can. Nobody can keep up with the flood of crap that just is out there. I don't know. At least the kid brought it home, showed his parents. Obviously, there's communication in that family. Dad backed his son up, came in, made a point, did all of that kind of stuff. But who's buying the school textbooks, or who's deciding what kind? I'm not a censorship by any chance, but this is one that is what's the right answer? I mean, I don't like the fact that they don't have Huckleberry Finn, they don't have Mark Twain in there because he wrote in the language of the day. If we're going to get to a point in our lives where race doesn't matter, you can't make it the issue every single time.
I totally agree with that. And again, but you raised a good question. What is the answer? What do you do now? I mean, again, you and I are like the furthest people away from wanting censorship because, I mean, God knows we posted a picture of it wearing with some freaking balloons on, and we got banned from Facebook for a month.
Yeah.
So I'm not for censorship by any means, but at the same time, these are our kids.
I know.
Kids need some time to be censored. You need to keep some of this stuff away from kids. Kids that are 11 don't need to be reading about having sex and graphic novels. I guess they're going to find it anyways. I mean, I found, when I wanted to look at magazines back when I was a kid, I found a way to look at them.
Right.
But they don't need to be readily available in the library or library, depending on for kids to just pick up and take home with them, and then have a librarian just say, okay, or do you want a graphic novel to go with that? Should not be accepted.
I ever tell you the story of what happened when I was in Pisa in Rome, in Florence. We went to see the statue of David. I was working on a cruise ship, took the train, got there, to be the first one in line. And when I come out of looking at the statue of David, because it's in its own little room, its own little museum, I'm standing in the street waiting for everybody else that was in my little tour to finish. And I asked the tour guide, all the buildings on this little campus compound look the same. I said, what's in that building? And he looked at me and he said, oh, that is the sculptures that Michelangelo did that were pornographic, and the government and the church don't want anybody to see it. And I said to him, oh, but if this was 1418, it would be fine. I could sit there, look at it. It would be everywhere. But now it's in a special room that you keep the lights off on. And he said, yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either. If you go to the ruins at Pompeii, you see pretty graphic sexual scenes that were on the public bathhouses. I don't know what it was like for kids to be kids in the Wild West, in ancient Rome, in the time of the Greeks, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So censorship isn't the issue. It's just the kind of crap. First of all, this isn't a textbook. You know what I mean?
No.
It's a novel. It's somebody getting paid to make stuff up and influence the kids and all of that kind of stuff. That's, but maybe 11 years old, it's too early to be teaching philosophy and comparative that kind of stuff. I mean, 11 is 11 is 11.
Yeah, I mean, now who do you blame though? Do you blame the school, or do you blame the parents for lack of communication? Because the parents should maybe say, "Hey, look, this kind of junk is out there. I don't want you bringing it home." Or I don't know. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the kids aren't going to tell their parents. That kid was a good kid.
I'm glad like I said, I'm glad there's the kind of dialogue between an 11-year-old and his dad where they can look at each other, talk about this stuff, and deal with it as two men. It's just, I don't know.
Gunner says the problem is the teachers' unions and the woke colleges creating these so-called teachers filling the vacuum for parents. They're using the void to indoctrinate today's children. You and I will probably disagree with that. I will agree with that statement, but
I partially agree with that. But I got to tell you, the void in the vacuum is also partially caused by the parents. And I'm going to say something.
Or lack of parents.
When I was 16 years old, I wasn't allowed to answer the phone in our family house. I said, well, Dad, what if it's for me? I was in junior high school. He says, I don't care. I want to know what asshole is calling you. Now, 4, 5, 6, everybody's got their own cell phone. And you send a kid to his room. Okay, you did something wrong. You were rude to your mom. Go to your room. And you're on timeout. Well, he's got a TV in the room. He's got a computer in his room. And he's got a cell phone. There's no guarantee that there's that kind of communication and dialogue. That's what's missing.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Now,
the other stuff I agree with.
I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of what you just said. I'm guilty of giving my daughter a phone, probably too young, and it was.
But that woke.
I hate to say selfish reasons because we got her a phone so we can keep track of where she is. God forbid she goes to school and something happens, you can track the phone. And that kind of thing. So or get a hold of her when she got a little bit older, was able to answer the phone correctly and. But be able to get a hold of her, she went out with a friend or out with somebody else. We were able to call her and find out what's going on most of the time. And but there are, I guess, unintended consequences of that, which is there are many things you could do on a phone now. I mean, I've told the story before. I'll tell it again. She was a younger kid, and she again had a phone, but it was for what we thought were good reasons. And one day. I hear her laughing, giggling, whatever, and I walk back into the room, and she's looking at her phone. I said, "What are you looking at?" And I take it from her, and it's a YouTube video of a tickle fetish thing happening. And I said, "What the hell is this?" And I took the phone, and I had to put all kind of parental restrictions on it, that kind of crap. Right. But everything is readily available at the tip of the fingers with these devices. And so, it's a... I don't know what you do. I don't know how you keep them away from it. But the point is, yes, I do think that the schools are indoctrinating our kids with a lot of things, especially in the colleges. I've told the story before about a school that my daughter went to. When I saw a video, it was one of her teachers that was out there spitting on police.
That's just,
If that's what they think about police outside, literally outside of the school,
right?
What are they teaching the kids inside
the
school?
Inside the classroom, right, where it's safe. I do have a theory though about some of the uncertainty, gender uncertainty. I blame. Well, let me ask you this: have you ever in your life, before you got married, after you got married, doesn't make any difference? Have you ever in your life had sex while you were wearing a pair of Crocs?
I know.
And I think that's why everybody's confused. Have you seen those shoes up close? You can't tell who you just, no wonder everything's all messed up because those shoes are enough to ruin everybody.
You're not a fan of Crocs? I'll tell a quick Croc story. It's completely off subject, but a quick Croc story since you brought it up. I met Triv one day with Glenn Forbes. We met him at Triv's restaurant. We were having a meeting before the show. And we get there, and I look down, and Triv's not wearing any shoes. I'm like, dude, what happened to your shoes? He's walking around the restaurant. He's got no shoes on, barefoot. He said, I forgot them. So what do you mean you forgot your shoes? He's like, well, usually I pick up my shoes, I put them in the backseat of the car, and then, put them on when I get to wherever I'm going. Since you drive barefoot? He's like, yeah, but you forgot the shoes. So he made Glenn and I go over to Strongsville Mall to the Croc store and buy him a pair of Crocs at the mall. So it was kind of cute watching Glenn Forbes and I walk around the mall together, kind of holding hands. I bought some cookies and we got some Crocs for Triv. And
that's how that stuff starts.
Yeah.
You see my point?
Next thing you know, we were reading books about sucking. No. But that was my Croc story. I'm not a big Croc fan.
I rest my case.
Who wrote the book? Who published it? And who makes the purchases at the school of the books?
Yeah.
Who puts those things in those libraries or libraries? I don't know. But I don't know. You don't have kids, right?
No.
If anybody out there, if you have kids, is this kind of stuff happening in your schools? When I sent my kids to their room, they were not allowed to do anything, but they did not have phones or TVs in the room either. Yeah, what am I supposed to do with my daughter? I'd have to unhook her entire bedroom to get everything
You'd have to
out.
go out your garage and just throw the switch and cut off all the electricity.
Yeah, I'm better off moving her bed out of the room and somewhere. I'm trying to get all the devices and everything out. The truth was a germaphobe, but yeah, he walked around barefoot sometimes.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know what you do, because if you complain to the school, they're not going to do anything about it. I mean, I don't know what happened to that gentleman and his son with the book, and I don't know. I mean, grounding. I don't think I've ever grounded my daughter for anything.
Well, you got a good girl. I mean,
Yeah, but still, I mean, you don't think to every time anymore you go to like spank your child, ground your child, or anything like that, you have to wonder and worry about what they're going to say.
Right? Listen.
I mean, or if you do it in front of the wrong person at the store or something, you get mad because they're acting up. I'm afraid of how other people are going to perceive what I'm doing. Am I going to go to jail if I raise my hand and smack my kid on the ass? Not at 16, but when she was younger, for doing something wrong.
Listen, my dad believed in corporal punishment. I'll just leave it at that. And I didn't know that I could have picked up the phone and called anybody. But now that I look back, I wouldn't trade what I went through as a kid and what I got. I'll give a quick example. I was like 13 years old. I was with my arm on the couch, on the arm of the couch. I have my arm, and I'm sitting there watching TV one day, and my dad walks up and smacks me in the back of the head. I said, "What was that for?" And he said, "That's for all the stuff you did that I never found out about." And I thought for a minute, and I said, "Okay, I got the better end of that deal." But I think what we're going to really have to do, and this is why I'm optimistic. This is why, even though I tear down some of the stuff that I do, and I bitch about some of the stuff that I do, my hope is, instead of running around like the Dutch boy with like 12 holes in the dike and 10 fingers, trying to stop and plug everything that's there, that what we will do instead is come up with a consensus about what we do want. Instead of fighting invisible dragons about what we don't like and what's wrong and who's that and who are they and all that, what we do is come back to, for example, school curriculum. I think we should teach people how to think, not how to take a test. I think we should teach people how to write in cursive, just so that the art form doesn't disappear off the face of the earth. And common values, if it's in families, in school boards, in churches, once we decide what we really want, the only problem we're facing is everybody who's free to be as dumb as they want to be, because that is the only unabridged freedom in this country, and then somebody will sell them what you don't want, or how can you believe that they're into that and the other thing, and so on and so. And that's where it spirals out of control. If we talk to each other and find out what's important to us and concentrate on that, maybe some of the other stuff will die off because it's not profitable.
Yeah, things are different now. You're right, though. Cursive is, forget about it. They don't even write anymore.
I know.
I mean, my daughter, and it's been this way for a while. They have laptops now. They don't do homework on like papers and like. I was just having a conversation with her not that long ago. I don't remember seeing her do homework in probably 3-4 years.
Wow.
Because it gets done while she's at school. It's all done on a laptop. There's no paper to turn in like there used to be. There's no project. I mean, I remember as a kid, I had projects. I had poster boards. I had dioramas that I had to put together. I had like different things. I had experiments that I had to do. It was hands-on. It was hours of homework that you had to turn in a paper that was handwritten. It had to be legible. and you got credit for turning it in. Now you get credit if you press enter, and you did it while you're at school. It's done on a laptop, so you can look anything up you want to look up. Now they got this chat GP, whatever it is, that can do the papers for them. And there is nothing. They're not teaching these kids what they need to be taught. But I guess maybe that's the future. Maybe that's what is going to be getting a job is going to be like, and everything else is going to be like. Maybe you don't need to learn how to write in cursive anymore.
There was a futures conference 2 or 3 years ago, somewhere in Europe. Everybody from all over the world that is involved in but they said that school was going to become obsolete because if you want to know something, just Google it.
Well, it's kind of true.
What it's coming down to. And now, speaking of what you said, you go to college now where you do maybe have to write a paper, and they're saying that 70-80% of the kids, some of the content is all done by AI.
Yeah, and it's done better than the kid probably could have done it. And it makes us sound old, I guess. But I mean, I know things change. I know times change. But for real, there is something to be said for learning how to write in cursive, learning how to write a paper, learning how to, actually sit down at night with a book and do homework. And it just doesn't exist anymore.
So now I'm scared. Because if we get to a point where nobody works, nobody has a job, the government pays you to stay home, everything's provided for you, you don't have to go get your groceries, you don't have to go anywhere, all the malls are gone because everybody orders everything from Amazon. If all I do is sit in my house, does that mean after another 10, 15 years, just because I'm so bored, I'm going to ask that kid if I can read that book after he's done with it?
Yeah. Probably.
Is that where it's going?
It is. We got Erik Ferentinos coming up here in just about 2 minutes. I think he's got some good stories for us. We'll talk to him in about 2.5. Hang on.
What separates Triv's restaurant in Strongsville from everybody else? Some restaurants you go to eat the same thing over and over and over. But then there are restaurants like Triv's where you want to go there every single time and eat something different until you have eaten every single item on the menu. Why? Because the food's delicious, and it has been for almost a quarter of a century. Triv's has amazing food, outstanding service, and an opportunity for you to have private dining, special events, and intimate occasions. You can enjoy a memorable fine dining experience in your own dedicated, intimate space. Visit Triv's in the heart of Strongsville. Call now for reservations, 440-238-8830. Triv's in Strongsville. Joe Burdick custom flags are amazing. Each flag is handcrafted to reflect the imperfect perfection, making each piece of patriotic wall art unique. This is a local small business, veteran-owned and proud. Joe Burdick creates symbolic artwork that is built to last. Display your spirit, pride, and patriotism by calling 440-305-2065 and let Joe's Flag serve you. 440-305-2065. Joe Burdick Flags. Let me introduce you to Charlie's Auto Repair. Any car, any truck, any problem, Charlie's does it right. You know how it is. The check your engine light comes on, you put air in the tires, and the light is still on. 216-470-0170. That's Charlie's Auto Repair, 13728 Madison in Lakewood. Charlie can do it all, from small engine repair to fleet maintenance and system diagnostics. Winter is here, so call Charlie's Auto Repair for snow plowing needs. 216-470-0170. Charlie's Auto Repair. Let Charlie make your car great once again.
Right back here on the Seth Williams Show with Mike Jusulka, and we welcome in Erik Ferentinos, a longtime guitarist.
Hello, gentlemen. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
fine.
okay.
Welcome.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so we're gonna start off real quick, man, because you're gonna drive Mike fucking crazy just by your background alone.
Is he triggered?
He is. He is triggered by what you have in the background. It looks like a flat Earth, Mike. I'm just gonna say it. And
What, man? No. This
No.
is a round Earth. As you can see, it's round.
it is round. It's round
not-
but flat.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about with your misinformation.
Chris had to put you up to that somehow, some way.
Well, I'll tell you, he did tip me off that he was like, these guys are into conspiracies, and I
Little
think
bit.
one of them might even be into flat Earth. And I'm like, oh, a long lost flat Earth brother. So I'm not sure which one of you guys it is that might.
I kind of believe a little bit that there is some evidence that might be accurate.
Sure.
Mike, on the other hand, might jump off a bridge by the end of the interview.
Well, we could talk about whatever you guys want. I was just trying to stir the pot a little bit.
I will tell you, my biggest frustration with conspiracy theories is the one that was right under everybody's nose is the one that nobody believes in. You know, everybody still walks around thinking that Oswald acted alone. That, it's like, but
or he was a CIA operative, like they have actual documentation on him being an asset that was on the payroll. And he was also, as far as I've researched, I believe he dated one of George Bush Sr.'s brothers, or excuse me, sisters.
Yeah. But here's the other thing too. You don't even have to dig deep. Let's go back to 1960 through 63. How many normal Americans could get in and out of Russia and in and out of Cuba 3-4 times and denounce their citizenship and then get allowed to fly back to the States?
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I'll tell you something, just as an aside, and I'll get this over real quick. I want to pay tribute. We lost Richard Belzer this past week, a damn good comic friend of mine. But he wrote an amazing book about the mathematical odds of all the people that were in Dealey Plaza on the 23rd, the untimely deaths that they all had. Go get Belzer's book, and it's a good read.
Yeah, absolutely. And rest in peace, Richard Belzer. Thank you so much for your comedy over the years, all your fantastic work on your television series. And what a career he's had. And not much was said. Surprisingly, I thought it would get much more coverage.
So did I, which is why I felt compelled to say something tonight on the show. And for you to tee it up like that, it was meant to be, Rich.
I just, again, I think it falls under the died suddenly or unexpectedly. I realize he was old. A lot of people love to throw that out there right away. Well, they died because they're old. That's the only reason. And there's only one way that you could discount whether this had anything to do with vaccinations, and that's if Richard Belzer was never vaccinated. But I can tell you, to work in Hollywood, that was one of the most stringent places where they were holding funky mandates and stuff. Everyone from the actors to the people screwing light bulbs in on the set had to be vaccinated. So he was not probably once, but 3, 4, 5 times probably. So when he croaks, you can't discount that easily. He wasn't sick. It was unexpected. And there's so many people, a lot of actors, athletes going the same way. And somebody should examine his autopsy. I don't know.
Absolutely. Erik Ferentinos, longtime guitarist for Stephen Pearcy, band Rat. But speaking of this conspiracy stuff, when it goes to the vaccine, I don't know how much stuff we can talk about because we always get banned.
Sure. Fair enough.
But now they're coming out with that it did come from a lab in Wuhan. We all knew that from the beginning, but you were called a racist and everything else when you said that. Now they're saying that having natural immunity is better than getting 2 shots of the vaccine. And that's coming out. All this stuff is coming out. Now, why the big cover-up other than, do you think it's government control? What do you think was going on there?
It was definitely, when you look at the players involved, these are Rockefeller, Gates people. These are elites with a huge amount of finance and influence. And when you look at a Bill Gates and who his parents were, they helped form Planned Parenthood. So they're responsible for millions of abortions every year. These people seriously believe that it's their responsibility to dictate how many people get to live or die on this planet, and they have the old money to corrupt whoever they need to make it happen. And if they could make a bunch of money along the way, even better. And this checks all the boxes. I mean, it's usually a multifaceted agenda.
And here's the thing with them, and this is why we have to get together and do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the control of natural resources. The earth has a finite amount of X, and I don't care what that X is. And the population grows geometrically. So everybody that's invested and owns all that stuff wants it to last for a while. And my theory has always been, it goes back to pre-9/11. The days of being able to walk around and do whatever you want and go wherever you want are gone.
Yeah, agreed.
By little, we're all getting put in a giant Skinner box.
The 15-minute cities, are you kind of alluding to those?
Yeah, and just the fact that everybody ends up marrying. If you go to the ghettos of the world, I'm not talking race. I'm talking about living conditions and money. They marry somebody that lives 5 doors down, and the world just keeps getting bigger and bigger because that's everybody's world, which is why anybody who's been in radio or anybody who's traveled and been into music, and I've been a comic, if you have been allowed to see the inequity between those of us that have been free and know what that's all about,
right,
and the way everybody else lives their life.
We're spoiled as Americans in a lot of ways. I think we've taken a lot for granted over the years, and most people aren't even aware of their constitutional rights or the Bill of Rights. They're just kind of take everything for granted. They've learned to disconnect their brains to simply trust the white coats, if you will.
Yeah.
And the higher ups and the rocket scientists.
Yeah.
Man, it took us 5 minutes to get like really deep. I mean, it's kind of scary, actually. We came on the show. I was just going to ask you about Stephen Pearcy and ask about Chris Aiken. Okay, so you work with Chris. You guys doing a show tonight or no?
We did our show Monday, and Chris was able to do an hour and a half. We were proud of him. Poor guy.
Yeah. He's hurt.
Yeah. I think he may have said something about it, but I know he did have, it was a pinched nerve as we had suspected, like a serious one that was in a rotary area where there's not much you could do besides rest. He's made some change ups in his mouse and how high it's going to be and anything he could do to mitigate that. He's been using his other hand.
Yeah, it feels like somebody else. Come on, Chris, use your left hand once in a while.
Yeah, we need to get him like a Stephen Hawking setup where he could just kind of blink the controls.
There you go.
So you do a show with Chris on Monday nights. That's right. And that's at 8:00. CMS Presents. Is that the name of that show?
Yep. Chris Aiken Presents.
Chris Aiken Presents. That's right. CMS
if you ask Siri, it says Chris Aiken because she's so stupid she can't pronounce anything right. But it's intelligence, artificial intelligence.
How did you get hooked up with Chris?
Well, that would be through the Classic Metal Show, which they've had running for a little longer than I've been in the band, but we both go way back in that regard. I've been playing for Stephen Pearcy for 22 years, and the Classic Metal Show has been making fun of the Stephen Pearcy band since 1998, along with Neely. And they had first approached me like in the early 2000s and handed me a Classic Metal t-shirt, which at the time I was doing a lot of tour dates in the early 2000s with Steven, and I always had dirty clothes and I was always happy to get a t-shirt from anybody, and I wore it. I'm seen wearing it on stage through there, but I really didn't make the connection of what it was. I mean, bands gave me shirts, people give me shirts, but I had if you've ever seen the Classic Metal Show logo, it's just a big logo that Neely, I think, drew in high school or something. That was his dream. And but it's cool. It's taken on meaning that iconic deal they have for their logo, and they've given their fans tons of laps over the years and helped keep classic metal alive and well. And I think it was around maybe, I don't know, late 2010s that they started making fun of us really bad. And I caught an episode of it on YouTube.
Wow.
And it was an episode called The Sad State of Stephen Pearcy. And I was like, what the hell is this about? And then they proceed to just, Chris and Neely just ripped us, for like, and I got so mad. I was like, who in the hell are these guys to, smear us online in this? And I actually was pretty upset about it. I was like, I'm going to kick these dudes' ass. They're going to be somewhere. And I'm going to get them. And little did I know, like, you can't judge a face by the voice, because when I did eventually befriend them and get to meet them, Chris is like 4 of me. He could easily kill me quite quickly. Neely is another guy. He's like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Right.
Okay. So you don't want to F with either of these guys. They're both heavily armed. I would never stand a chance. So my only chance was to join them.
To do a show. Absolutely.
That was it.
I met Chris 20 years ago. He was doing metal show on WMMS, the radio station up here. And, we were friends back then. And then we kind of grew apart a little bit. I went my own way doing AM radio stuff. And then it took me losing a leg and trying to do this podcast to get me back in touch with him. And now, good friends again. So it's cool. How'd you meet Stephen Pearcy?
Well, that would go back to the 1980s. And it was serendipitous enough that he moved in across the street from my family in Carlsbad, California, in probably, 1987, I think, when Rat was at the peak of their career. And my mom's like, hey, do you know the band Rat? I was like, well, yeah. And she goes, well, don't say anything, but the singer just moved in across the street. My mom's from Jersey originally. That's why I'm talking about that. But anyways, I was just like, what? And I don't know if you guys had this in your neighborhoods growing up. Did you ever have like a neighborhood watch deal where they give everybody's phone numbers on the block?
Yes.
And names and stuff. So you would know who everybody was and be able to call if there was a problem. Well, for him, I remember he put that his name was Stephen Christ. I don't know why he did that. I just kind of flashed back to that. But he did have to be really on the down low because people would follow him around back then. I remember he drove a badass Porsche 935 turbo, and he would always be like outrunning fans. And on the radio, they'd be like, "We had a Stephen Pearcy sighting today in La Jolla," or something. And so it was kind of a big deal. It was like super exciting for me. And when I was already just learning to play guitar and totally hypnotized by MTV and Headbangers Ball and the rock radio stations out there, I was hooked on hard rock and heavy metal and Eddie Van Halen and George Lynch and everybody, Jakey Lee. I loved all the West Coast rock guitar players. I wanted to be like them. And so when he moved in, I just felt like that was fate telling me this is going to happen for you. Even though I really hardly was able to play, could not keep my guitar in tune, had never had a guitar lesson, I knew it was going to work out somehow. These are just these things that you know in your heart, and you just follow it.
There you go.
What the hell has happened to rock music? I mean, today I'm looking around. I mean, I did rock radio for 12 years. And granted, the earlier stuff was fantastic. I love the 80s music and that kind of stuff. But even the 90s I grew up with, and then the 2000s rock was pretty decent, some of it anyways. And now it seems like there's a lot of overseas rock, but here it's not as cool or as good as it was. I shouldn't say cool, not as good as it was.
Chris and I had touched on this too, and I was trying to get my point across to him that kind of music, that the awesome classic rock that we grew up on, that had a good amount of development and time in the studio to experiment, and they could, in a lot of cases, afford to pay some fantastic studio players to come in and play. Nowadays, if you cut all that out and just have a drum machine, a keyboard, and a singer, it's a lot less money. So, most people will allow themselves to be spoon-fed.
A lot less collaboration and camaraderie too.
Yeah. The collaboration probably goes more with the songwriters of pop music, because a lot of the songs of the summer writers usually entail like there'll be a boiler room that has about 15 producers trying to write this hit song all at the same time in this one building. And basically they will, if their song gets chosen, they will be a wealthy person. If it doesn't get chosen, they don't get anything, but they're all vying for this. And in some capacities they have, they team up to have this guy wrote this verse, this person wrote this verse, this person helped with the melody, this person programmed it all. And then they have the famous singer come in and they poop those out every day. But they're really easy to make, especially computer music like that. It's just with the loops and the crap to make like organic rock music that was actually performed by a human with the guitar is a lot more entailed. It takes a lot more soul. There's a lot of factors involved, but I was telling Chris that there is hope, because I believe kids of all races and cultures are getting fed up with how stripped down and stupid music has become, and they're seeing the guitar, and they're seeing that they're missing out on something really special and talented and fantastic. And these young people, I'm seeing it with the addition of YouTube. They're getting all these free guitar lessons. There's now musical instruments that are very affordable to learn how to play, because they get them from China or wherever, but you can get for less than $100, get your first electric guitar, free lessons. There's a lot more players out there. And Chris was saying that, don't I miss in movies that there's not rock anymore in this? And I've disagreed a little bit. And last night I saw a movie that even reinforced my thoughts. It was a movie called There's a Ghost in Our House.
I just saw a preview for that. Yeah.
Okay. On Netflix. And this was a movie that had a black family and it had a young black youth. He kind of looked like a young Chris Rock. And this kid loves like classic rock. He is listening to The Who, or he's listening to whichever band, Creedence Clearwater Revival. And then at some point he starts playing guitar to lure the ghost out. And he's singing this awesome, like soulful version of this CCR song. Have you ever seen The Rain? And it sounded so beautiful and it was so cool. I go, and that's what we need to do. We need to integrate this stuff. We need to all get together, the cultures, keep the guitar alive, but change it up. I mean, there's always been soulful singers in rock, but I love the black voice and there needs to be more of it. I always loved Lenny Kravitz, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I grew up listening to. So it almost brought a tear of joy to see that in the movie last night. And I think we're going to see more of it.
I hope so, man, because, we're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame capital here. Right? We got, and I used to be able to go to club after club after club and see live bands and, national bands. There were good bands, and then even local bands. There was a rock scene around here that was actually very, very good. And you just don't see that anymore. You just don't. And it's sad because it's kind of music that I like, kind of music I grew up with. And, I want to see you guys come to town, and you don't even see, I don't see Stephen Pearcy and you coming to town anytime soon. I mean, that's kind of something we need here. Now,
you're in Ohio, Seth? Where are you?
Yeah, we're in Cleveland.
All right, you're in Cleveland.
Yeah,
we had an Ohio show, not in Cleveland, more towards Versailles, but I guess it just got canceled. I found out last night. I don't even know if the people know that yet, but I'm not sure if that's in the danger zone. If we're going to jump back into conspiracy town.
But I just get tired of seeing. Now they got all these festivals. It's one show with 500 bands that comes to Columbus, and I got to drive 2.5 hours to see a rock concert. And to me, that kind of gets old. I just want to get back to the local scene and back to the
what happened to Peabody's and all that?
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Peabody's is a great place to see a show, and I loved it. But it's all gone.
It's gone. It's all gone.
Yep.
Well, that's if it's gone, that means that somebody that lives there has got an opportunity to bring it back. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, you were in Ohio, and you actually had a health scare in Ohio. You mind talking about that?
I suffered a heart attack about 7 months ago, right after our show.
Yeah. Where in Ohio was
that?
I forgot where it was.
It was Pickerington.
Okay, that's Columbus area, I think. Isn't it?
Yeah, it was outside of Columbus.
And everything all right? You okay?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I'm not scared of dying.
I am. When I was laying there with no leg on, I was thinking I'm going to die, and you had a heart attack. So God bless you. I'm glad you're still around.
Well, God bless you, man.
Last time I talked to you one other time.
You filled in for me.
I did. I filled in for you because you were out with Chris Angel and Stephen Pearcy. You guys were playing out there for one of his. What was it?
Flavor Flav.
Yeah, that's a great. Was it a crazy night? I didn't get to even ask.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That night was cool. It was Chris Angel does a annual birthday bash. He's in Vegas where Steven lives, and he was kind enough to have Steven and I as one of the many guests that performed that night. I think the highlight of that night for me was at the end. They did an all-star jam, and Robin Zander was one of the guest singers, and they did the Cheap Trick song, Your Mama's All Right. Surrender.
Yeah.
And so I was up there with Kip Winger and some other dude on my mic, and there's all these people up there, but we're singing that song. The main backing band was incredible and played it, perfect. And that was a cool night for me, to say the least.
That's the one I want to ask you about. All right. You're a rock star. You've been a rock star for quite some time. I know that you got a girl now. That's fine. But I want to play guitar because I want the girls.
Right.
Is that a benefit? Is that a perk? Before you got together with the girl of your dreams that you're with now, it has to be like one of the greatest things of all time.
Oh, yeah. When you're young, you got to go out and smash as much as you can. That's what me and Pearcy say.
See, that's the kind of lifestyle that I want. I mean, I got a pretty good looking wife because I was in radio. She thought that I had money. Little did she know that people in radio don't make shit.
Yeah.
But so I'm happy about that. I'm good to go. But I always imagine life of being a rock star would just be like the best damn thing anybody could possibly do.
It helped a dork like me, man, because I wasn't cool at all. As a kid in school, I was smart, but I actually ended up getting kicked out of high school, and it was hard for me to acclimate to that whole scene. But I do remember thinking, guitar would be a great way to improve my odds. That's a part of it.
Stand-up comedy wasn't bad either. My claim to fame is I got to tour with Sam Kinison. I was a comic back in the day you were talking about. I mean, I remember seeing Van Halen at the Troubadour the weekend before they were going to play their high school prom.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was a hell of a show. But when the last few years I was touring with Sam, we used to do Wild Thing and some musical stuff, and whatever bands were in whatever town we were playing in, they were all friends of Sam's, and they'd come jam, and we'd end the show with music. And I can't tell you how many rock stars said, because this is what the envy of every comic as far as musicians go is, if you got a great song and you come out and there's 20, 30, 100,000 people in the stadium, you hit the first three chords of the song that everybody came to hear, and they're all standing up. You can't write a joke where you're going to get that kind of response halfway through the joke. It just will never happen for a comic. But I've had musicians in all kinds of that I've just was in awe of meeting that night come up and say after the show, I can't believe you guys go out there with just a microphone. Mm-hmm. If I was in front of 20,000 people and I didn't have my band and my guitar, I could never face 20,000 people. So
bingo, yeah.
Kind of, the yin and yang there was, but yeah, there is something to say. And do you want to go see the bus?
That's right. Well, that is so cool to hear. And, you mentioned Wild Thing. And of course, as the Steven and Rat fans know, Steven was in the video that they did for Wild Thing, as well as Billy Idol and a lot of cool Slash.
I'm in that video too.
Are you?
Yeah. Watch it again sometime and look at the guy in the big green shirt.
Cool, man. I will watch it tonight. I saw Point Break last night. It happened to be on TV. And I said it to Susan. I'm like, now you got to wait. Rat plays the song at the very end.
Yeah.
And sure enough, Patrick Swayze gets let go surf his last wave into his death.
Right.
And then the credits roll and it plays Nobody Rides for Free. But then she busted my balls. She's like, oh, they didn't put it on till the credits, huh? Whatever. It's still in there.
What do you got going on now? You got any tour dates going on? What are you guys up to?
Yeah. Well, tomorrow night, we are going to be up in Los Angeles. We're playing the Canyon Club in Agora Hills.
Ooh.
So if anybody's in the LA area and you want to rat and roll, you want to lay it down, you want to go round and round, you want to be at the Canyon Club in Agora Hills. And then Friday we'll be at one of the other Canyon Clubs, which is the one in Montclair, which is probably like an hour from there. You can go to both shows. That's what I recommend.
Are you out in San Diego? Is that where you're at?
Yes, sir. I live in Oceanside, California. If you know where Camp Pendleton is, I'm right there.
Yep.
Is the weather as good as they say it is out in San Diego?
Generally, it's phenomenal, but I don't know what's going on in the last couple of weeks. I'm actually concerned. Like they put like a tsunami sign they hammered out for. I live right on the beach. I'm very blessed.
Nice.
But I live on the Strand here by the harbor, and it's treacherous out there. Like literally the ocean right now is blowing sideways, and the seagulls are just flying in place, and the palm trees look like 3 Mile Island out there.
It's probably all that climate change shit we're going to talk about on Monday, right? The climate change what's happening out there.
Yeah, is that what you guys are talking about Monday?
Yeah, well, I don't believe in the climate change things,
right? Nor do I.
He's more on the side of there is climate change.
Sure.
But I'm not.
Well, there is, but people got to calm down and know that they've really only been measuring the Earth's temperature for sadly only 100 years, and there's plenty of evidence to show that there's been hotter times in history. These are cyclical events, but they will always be manipulated to control the people. And at the end of the day, please remember to tell everybody that this is all about taxation of the people. This will be an excuse for a carbon tax, and that's what this has always been about, and to limit your movements. The ultimate goal is to keep everyone in control and to keep them in 15-minute cities and be able to shut them down at any moment at the first sign of dissension.
We started to talk earlier. I said that 9/11, and then the second thing was COVID. The next big thing that will hit this country is when all of the computers crash for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll come back on, and you'll get a call from your bank that says, hey, Eric, don't worry. The $5,000 you had in your bank account is still there. And you'll go, thank you very much, hang up, and then think to yourself, wait a minute. I have $75,000 in that bank. And you call them back, and they're going to look at you and say, prove it. Because you don't have a single piece of paper or something that wasn't on your phone or your computer to back up what you know.
It's been awesome, for our lifetimes to be able to have cash as an option to survive. But they've basically got us very accustomed to the convenience of the digital payment systems and things like that. It was like a honey trap, really, because now we're so used to doing it, and nobody wants to go to the bank to pull out a wad of cash to pay somebody. They just want to Venmo them. And now here we are a couple years later. They're like, okay, now we're handing it all over to the IRS. And we've been watching you the whole time.
I read 1984. It was supposed to be a struggle. Now it's like Satan shows up and you go, oh, you want to do me from behind? You stand there, I'll back up. That's how easy we've made it.
Speaking of that, it's funny because one of Bill Gates' patents that he has is patent 060606. So, these people are absolutely worship Satan. There's no doubt about it.
Chris is actually watching the show now.
Well,
nice of you to join us, Chris.
When you have bullets.
That's right, baby.
There you go.
All right, so another question. You're living in San Diego, and I'm going to ask, what's the illegal situation like in San Diego? You're right on the border there, aren't you?
Oh, speaking of Latino, Mexican people coming here?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, from what I understand, our borders have been wide open, and there's been a massive influx of people. Again, I think that was intentional from the Democratic Party, just to give all those millions of people amnesty so they continue to vote Democrat. And, it does ultimately hurt our country for people to enter that way. And it's more about nationalism. If you don't have allegiance to America, you're not going to choose what's best for this country. You won't give a damn.
Amen to that. Do you have a problem with that in San Diego, or is that
there's a problem in California, because I'm like literally behind enemy lines here. Everyone here is insane, and I live in a horror movie.
There you go.
I've always said I'm waiting for that day when California just breaks off, but hopefully you jump off before it does.
I'll probably end up dying here, man. I'm not going to live forever, but I'm not leaving like some of the cowards that did.
What's your cat's name?
This cat
right, walking around.
Charlie Cat. This is a Turkish van named Charlie Cat. She's the sweetest girl. She's soft as a cotton ball. Amazing little soccer player. The stuff that she could do with a ping pong ball out in the living room is freaking amazing.
I saw the tail float around. I was like, cat.
I also have a very cranky tortie cat, if you know what those are. No. They're like a tabby cat, but they're more, darker colored, and they can be very vicious. And these two kind of fight. But after 7 months of us all being together here at this place, they're finally starting to hang out together and not hiss as much. And that's welcomed.
All right. I'll let you go, and I don't want to keep it too long, but I do have to ask you before we leave, since Chris is listening. Is he a pain in the ass to work with?
No, not at all. He's, you know what? Chris is my big brother, man. I love him so much.
He's a good guy. I appreciate you coming on tonight. Anything else going on you want to talk about?
Not much. Just thank you for having me, and everybody subscribe to Chris Aiken Presents. Come check out Stephen Pearcy and myself, and Johnny Monaco, Scott Coogan, Matt Thorne. We're gonna be out there ratting and rolling.
Come on, get to Cleveland. We can come see you.
And I'll tell you what, after the computers crash, when everybody's up and running again, let's come have you back on and let's talk about that.
Anytime. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks.
All right, Seth. Be well, my friend.
Talk to you soon, man. Thank
you.
Right, Erik Ferentinos, good guy. Guitarist Stephen Pearcy. Appreciate him spending a half hour with us. Good stuff. Part of the CMS network, Chris Aiken Presents. Monday nights, you can hear Chris Aiken and Eric do a show together. They do a couple hours, and
we're both to be part of the network too. So I mean,
yeah, we are lucky to be part of that network as well. And but he's a good dude. I did get to fill in one time for him and do the Chris Aiken show, and that was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Make sure you're checking them out. 8:00, I believe, on Monday night, so you can watch our show on Mondays. Take an hour break to get something to eat, get something to drink, go to the bathroom, and then turn his show on. See Erik Ferentinos and Chris Aiken Presents Monday nights. While we're talking about some of that stuff, and don't forget the new feature on our website, the SethWilliamsShow.com, the listen button at the top. So at the very top of the screen, you can click the listen button and you can listen to the show while you're driving in your car. You don't have to watch us, or if you're doing something around the house, whatever, it works on your lock screen. So just put it on your phone. You can listen while you're driving, and it's not a problem. You don't have to watch it, and that is a good thing. You don't have to see us. Good stuff. Cool guy.
Yeah, he is.
Can you post the link? Yes. Chris, can you post the link to the CMS network so everybody knows where they can go to get the show? Because it's a lot of fun. I'll tell you what. And I think they swear a little bit more than we do.
Yeah, a little tiny bit.
Yeah, we did play a pretty risque video earlier. Maybe we'll play that again. But yeah, I think they have a good time, and they get a lot of great guests on their show like we do.
Yeah. And everybody listening, and everybody, once you check out the other stuff, share all this with everybody you know. And because we get a lot of feedback, I'm sure they do on their shows, and your input means a lot to the show and a lot to us as well. So,
and this network is expanding. It really is. It's
Yes.
becoming something very, very cool. You can listen. Actually, you can find the network. Look up CMS Network on your Amazon TV, your Fire TV, your Fire Stick.
Yep.
So you can get all the shows in the CMS Network there. There's a bunch of different shows, but we're part of that as well. So you can actually check out on your Amazon Fire TV or Fire Stick. You can see our show anytime you want, all the episodes. Go to the SethWilliamsShow.com or go to the CMS Network on your TV and stuff. Well, that's very cool. All right, let's take another quick break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Cool.
Hey, it's Seth for Smoking Rock and Roll Food Trucks. You got to check them out, man. The food is just unbelievable. Mac and cheese is fantastic. The brisket, everything else is just to die for. You got to check out Smoking Rock and Roll. 605 Clague Parkway in Bay Village. You can give them a call, 216-539-2239 to book a food truck. Find out where they're going to be at. They're going to be all over the place, especially when the spring and summer hits. It's unbelievable food. They win awards all over the place. Run by my good friend Billy Morris and his friend Todd. They're good people, and they make great food. You got to check it out. Smoking Rock and Roll, SmokingRockandRoll.com.
Aaron Tees and Signs has become your complete one-stop sign shop. Call Jimmy at 216-299-9344. Their friendly and professional staff can and will help you build your company brand and identity from start to finish. One stop means you get a complete package from one location. Custom logo design, vehicle graphics, banners, t-shirts, storefront marquees, and so much more. Aaron Tees and Signs, 4883 Turney Road. Call us at 216-299-9344.
Hey, it's for Audio Bay Studios in Bay Village. And now if you need a podcast done, you got a band, you got to record some stuff, Audio Bay Studios is the place to go. Trained technicians, good management there. I'm telling you, Audio Bay Studios has helped me out tremendously with my podcast. You want to go there, Audio Bay Studios, 605 Clague Parkway in Bay Village. It's right next to, or in the same building, I should say, as Smoking Rock and Roll. Some of the best barbecue food trucks in town. The best barbecue food trucks in town. I'm telling you, you got to check out Audio Bay Studios. I know the guy, Chris Aiken. I know the guy, Billy Morris. They're good people. They take care of you. Audio Bay Studios. If you got a podcast that you want to start recording, Audio Bay Studios in Bay Village is the place to be. 605 Clague Parkway. Give them a call. 216-713-0066. That's 216-713-0066. Back here on the Seth Williams Show with Mike Jasuka. CMSPN.com. Look up CMSPN.com. You can get the shows there, but again, just Google the network, CMS Network, and you can find out all kind of information. But CMSPN.com is where you can also get the shows. But look up CMS Network on your Amazon or whatever, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. But you have to check out Chris Aiken Presents. It's really a fun show. All of his shows are good. Classic metal show, all fun stuff. So there you go. Is that enough housekeeping? Did we do a good job?
Yeah, but I will say I hope Eric is right about kids today having the pendulum swing back the other way, and there's some good rock and roll coming back.
Me too, man. It's really been kind of. Look, I know I've been out of the rock radio scene for 12, 13 years now, 13, 14 years now. Dear God. But you just don't hear it like you used to. I mean,
no.
Some of the radio stations around here, it's all the old stuff, or it's talk shows on rock radio. And
on rock, yes.
Not that I don't like the talk shows. I do. I like some of the stuff, but
even if radio's not going to be the savior, like you were mentioning earlier, how about a good, vibrant club scene again? That would be appreciated.
Yeah, I used to host a lot of the local shows back in the day, and there was some really good local talent. But those clubs like the Odeon, Peabody's, all that kind of stuff, they're not around anymore.
Yeah.
And there was such a good scene, and it's sad. It's sad that it went away. And then, like I was talking with him before about these festivals. Now it's like you get 100 bands at one festival in Columbus, And well, I don't want to pay $400 a ticket.
Right. And
I don't want to go spend 3 days in a field to see a show.
No. And you shorten sets for everybody you went to see. And like Chris was saying about everybody to make their money has those 500-mile radius where you can't cross pollinate and stuff like that to make. And it's not whatever happened. I mean, this is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, like you said. Why not still have the World Series of Rock every summer in Cleveland?
Yeah, I still don't understand why they don't do something by the Rock Hall. Again, you have waterfront there that we've always talked about that hasn't been developed the way that it should. You put a freaking concert hall there, or have a big amphitheater outside that you can go to during the summertime and have bands by the Rock Hall.
And hell, in the winter, there. Public Hall is an amazing fit. I've played on stage at Public Hall, and that place just sits there. That's an amazing theater. You could use that all winter. We could have concerts around. Yeah.
But maybe it's not worth it. You know, all the really good bands are getting old, or the new bands nobody's ever heard of. So maybe it's not worth it to do that kind of thing. I don't know. But I'm sick and tired of the Taylor Swifts and junk like that. I want to see some good rock music that seems to be kind of dead. I mean, you can leave your comments if you disagree. If there's any bands out there that I should be checking out.
Yeah, no kidding. Get in touch with the show between us and Chris and everything else. Maybe we are going to have to start the music scene ourselves.
Yeah, I love when we get these kind of guests like Erik on, like Erik Ferentinos, who's on, guitarist for Stephen Pearcy from the band Rat. Because I like hearing their opinions on what's going on with music today. And it's nice to know that guys like that are still touring.
I can't believe I was in a video with his friend.
That's kind of funny. We got to find that video and put that up, because that would be that'd be pretty cool to check out. Well, the Browns get a new stadium on new property, the Rock Hall, and take over that property. We can't have the World Series of Rock anymore because we had too much fun. I guess that's not allowed any longer.
There you go.
House of Blues is where you see those bands. All right, I guess I like the House of Blues. I've been there a couple of times, but and the Agora, I like the Agora. Except for the parking situation last time I was there. But you don't hear. I guess maybe you don't hear about those bands, those venues like you used to. I used to be able to go pick up a Scene magazine, and I'd know who was coming to town. There'd be pages of bands coming to town from all the different venues, and you would have it right in front of you and see where they're coming to.
I don't
see that kind of stuff anymore. I don't hear about bands coming to town unless it's a huge show.
We need another Jane Scott. We need a reincarnation of Jane Scott.
Yeah.
So anybody who's out there in college right now doing journalism and stuff like that, drop out, start going, find the bands, break the news, and become the next Jane Scott.
All right. Chris keeps posting stuff, and good new bands, Plush, The Warning, Dirty Honey, Joyous Wolf. I'll have to check some of those out. I will. But how do you know that they're coming to town? How do you know who's coming to House of Blues? Where do you get that info from anymore? Because again, it used to be a Scene magazine at every restaurant or bar you went to, and I don't see it. They're not promoting it like they used to on the radio. Where do you hear about it?
Yeah, you can't even.
Unless I drive down Euclid. Right. Unless I drive down Euclid to check out the marquee, I don't know who's coming to town.
Right. And the library used to have, what's going on in town too. Now they've got, like, Charlie's got 2 wieners.
I've missed that. Maybe I don't know if we'll play that. Where would you hear it? Our radio sucks, and people only hear what Spotify feeds them.
Thank you.
Well, that's kind of my point. Is that I want to know where you find out info on these bands coming to town, or where do you hear them?
All right, then let's
Spotify. I listen to Spotify a lot. I hate to say it. Our show's on Spotify, so I like to listen to that as well. And but I listen to a lot of stuff on Spotify. But I want to know, where can I find concerts that are coming to town? What?
I was going to say, let's throw this out to the public. If you're within the sound of our voice and you have a business and you want to back a really nice segment of what's going to be the hottest talk show in America over the next year, then give Seth and I a call and we'll talk about putting a What's Going On in Cleveland segment on this show at least once a week. So if you're in business and you want to advertise and you'd like to be a sponsor, give us a call, text us, or just come over to the house. We don't care.
Seth and Mike at Outlook.com, Seth and Mike at Outlook.com, or Seth Williams 32 at Yahoo.com. You can email us. And I think that would be a great segment to have on the show. We should do it no matter what.
A great feature, no kidding.
Just to kind of showcase what's happening as far as concerts coming to town. We do a restaurant segment. We can talk about festivals coming to town. We can talk about all kind of different things.
I got an idea for a guest.
Wait, Scene is still out there, just hard to find.
No kidding. It's not everywhere like it used to be, and it's really
everywhere. Yeah,
it's 12 pages too. We should.
You used to be able to find hookers in the back of that. Can't anymore.
That's true.
Sorry.
We got to give Thomas Mulready a call. He's got a column called Cool Cleveland. And there's a little bit of what's going on, trendy stuff, a little political stuff. But he would make a great guest. And if he's listening or anybody knows him, I would love to sit down and interview Thomas Mulready.
All right.
Good. Mark already likes the idea.
Yeah,
and you know what, Mark? I got to believe there's all kinds of Marks out there. We need to do this.
Oh, yeah. We without a doubt, we need to do
You're
that.
right, man.
It'd be helpful to me because I want to let somebody else do the segment and I'll actually know what the hell's going on.
Right. Where can I go after the show?
If we don't do it for anybody else, I want to do it for us. So I know what concerts are coming and what I should be doing on my weekends.
Great. Then you and I will be sitting here and Tony will show us all kinds of food we can't eat. And somebody else will come on afterwards and tell us all kinds of places we can't go.
I mean, I barely know any movies that come out anymore.
Isn't that
I'm
the
so
truth?
far out of the loop anymore. My problem is I watch too much news. I sit and I go back and forth from Fox to CNN and watching all this news crap. I sat today and watched an hour and a half of that stupid Murdoch trial.
Oh, please.
Because they're wrapping that thing up and for whatever Fox is taking it live for days upon days. And I don't know. Good segment for Friday.
There we go. Friday show. Bingo. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're getting there.
We have to work on Fridays now, too. If I'm going to work 3 damn days a week, I want to get paid.
Yes,
that would be the ideal goal here.
Like I said, if you have a business and you're listening to us.
Yeah, we'll put those emails out there again. Seth Williams 32 at yahoo.com or Seth and Mike at outlook.com. It'd be great to do 3 shows a week, or actually it'd be great to do 5 shows a week.
Yep.
That's the ultimate goal here. I mean, I've heard some of the junk that other people are putting out there. We can't be that much worse.
Right.
I mean,
and I watch as much news as you do, and I'm amazed at the junk that's out there too.
Look, I know we're not good, but I think we're okay, and at least on par, better than some of the other trash I've seen or heard. There are some good shows out there, but not so good. If you have any ideas on what you would like to hear on the show, you can always gotta also contact these individual cities locally to see what they are doing development and improvement wise.
Amen. I got to tell you, 2 weeks ago, I was in a city outside of Pittsburgh, and I may have said this before, but we should take all of Cleveland City Council, put them on a bus, and drive them to downtown Pittsburgh, because there's one idea that would bring people back downtown again. Pittsburgh has 4 big, huge parking lots downtown, and it costs $5 to park there. And if you leave one, because you're on one corner of the downtown area, and you decide to eat at a restaurant that's in the southern portion of downtown, you can take your ticket and get in and out of the same garage.
Yeah, I'm actually working on putting together a Cleveland show, like a Cleveland, what's going on, not in Cleveland, but what the hell is going on with our city, and trying to get somebody from law enforcement on and somebody from the government on to just talk about what's going on with our city. I mean, our city council, I was watching this, I heard a story the other day about our city council. This is how great our city council is in Cleveland. They want to sue Kia and Hyundai.
Yeah.
Because there's been too many carjackings or too many car theft. Now, why don't you put more police on the streets to prevent the car thefts instead of worrying about the Kia and Hyundais of the world making it too easy for them to steal? Maybe we should be policing the streets more so these cars don't get stolen.
Yeah.
But their idea is to sue the car company over
because God knows a lawsuit will take you 2 years, and in the meantime, the cops will get your car back for you the next day.
Yeah, and I support the hell out of these cops, and they got a tough job to do. But maybe there should be more of them watching the cars that are getting stolen rather than suing the friggin' companies that make them.
Crazy.
I watched the news, watching Murdaugh as well. Case, it is crazy. It is a crazy case. I will say that. That is a nut job case. Have you watched any of that Murdaugh case?
Absolutely.
I don't know what this jury is going to do. You know the law a lot more than I do, but it seems to me that all they got to do is get one juror to think, all right, this guy may not have done this, and this case is going to go out the window for these guys. It seems pretty obvious circumstantially that they have enough evidence to put him away. However, they have no hard evidence.
Well, here's something that I thought would have been riveting, but I think everybody missed it. Do you remember before they put Murdaugh on the stand, one of the theories was it couldn't have possibly been him because of the entrance wound, the entrance angle of the bullets, et cetera, that it must have been somebody who was like 3.5 feet tall. Remember that big defense statement? Well, they put him up the next day, and he admits that he comes rolling up in a golf cart. Tell me, Mr. Murdaugh, how tall were you when you were sitting in the golf cart?
All right, but then there's the whole thing about blood splatter and all that kind of. There was no blood on him, no blood anywhere else that they could find coming to him. There's no hard evidence that ties this guy other than his phone.
Circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence is overwhelming, and you've proven that he's a liar.
Well, one of the jury instructions they're going to get is that circumstantial evidence is just as valid as physical evidence in a case.
Okay, but just because you prove somebody's a liar doesn't mean that he
agreed. But there are people that have been convicted of murder where you never find the body, and there have been people convicted of murder where you do not find the gun. Because it's real easy to get rid of a gun, and it's a lot harder to get rid of a body, but there are just, but then on the other hand, there's John Benet Ramsey that's still unsolved, and O.J. Simpson is still looking for the real killers. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but
yeah, I don't know how this one's going to go. Did they finish closing arguments today, or do you know? They were doing when I came upstairs to do the show.
I don't know because I didn't watch the end of. I was thoroughly unimpressed with the lawyering on both sides, so that's when I stopped watching.
Well, I'm interested to see how it goes, but
yeah,
regardless, this guy's going to jail. It's not like he's going to get off this murder charge and then walk out on the streets. I mean, he's ripped off everybody and their mother. In fact, I'm pretty sure that somewhere down the line, I probably owed some money from this guy because he ripped off everybody.
Yep.
So he's going to go to jail for something, and
for a long
time.
Yeah, for a long time. But I don't know.
Okay, it's just a distraction of what is going on in this country. Who cares? Is the OJ? Yes. I agree that maybe it is a distraction. I don't know. I'm trying to say that there was 2 people that did this. Yeah, he did try to say that. I don't know if this is a distraction that's going on in the country, Gunner. I mean, could be right, but the OJ trial, I wish we could get somebody to talk about that. I love that trial. I thought that was the most fascinating thing of all time. Now that I've heard more and more talk about it, not to divert from what we were talking about, but I think OJ's, well, I'm not going to say who I think did it, but I don't think OJ did it. I think he was innocent.
Really?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Wow. And I would love to. I know we don't have time before the end of the show.
Close to OJ. I think it was somebody very close to OJ that did it.
I'm going to tell you something. I think the look on Robert Kardashian's face when the jury said not guilty tells the whole story of that trial. Because Kardashian was the one who took the bag of bloody clothes and threw them in the trash can at the airport.
Yeah, that would be an interesting show. I know that there's some people that I've talked to before that have written books on that, and that would be interesting to get somebody on.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna wrap things up. I got to go to the rec center.
Okay.
It's my new thing now. I go every night now. And
good for you.
I don't know if it's good or not. I don't know if it's helping or not. I've noticed though that my endurance has gotten better.
Yeah. I will tell you something. Back in August, when you were needing a ride back and forth to some places, when you were still getting your fit for this and therapy for that, and we had time to talk and develop the show and all of that kind of stuff and things. There's a picture of me standing next to my car with you in your chair before you got in it. It's the thinnest I've been in, the best shape I've been in, and so on and so forth. And I'll admit this in front of everybody. I went, wow, look what I did. And I lived off the thing of that. Now I looked at myself and it's like, damn it, half of it's back. So yeah. I'm going to be back at the gym every morning. I can't do nights, but I'll be there 6 o'clock every morning.
The reason I do nights is because I can't drive to get there. So I have to rely on my wife who has to come home from work and then take me to the gym. All right, Chris, I totally agree with you here. This is what I was thinking. OJ's kid. That's what, I was told by somebody else. So I'm not making any accusations myself, but I was told that by somebody else.
Wow.
That's the reason the glove didn't fit.
No, the glove didn't fit because it was soaked in blood and blood dries.
Yeah, but it'd be crusty, wouldn't it? And then you could push your hand through it. And I mean, I put on crusty gloves before. I'm not going to say why, but
there's only one pair of. What about the shoes? OJ's kid didn't wear size 13 Bruno Maglias either.
Right, so keep up what you're doing, Seth. So you keep getting better.
Bingo.
Another great set. Enjoy the weekend, guys. Everybody have a great weekend.
Everybody been a part of it. Thanks. Go have a great time. And I'll tell you something. Let's promise, Seth, that all that stuff about the schools and the videos and the man on the street stuff, we'll keep paying attention to that.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have more videos. We'll have more of everything. We're going to keep going forward here.
Amen.
And again, looking for anybody who wants to do this segment for the what's going on in Cleveland and around town. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thank you to Erik Ferentinos for joining us tonight. Tony Musachio, appreciate him being live. He'll be live again next Wednesday. And again, Monday night, Jim Scott, first-time caller Jim from the Trip Show, will be debating you on climate change.
Bingo.
I'm sure we're going to have slideshows. We're going to have all kind of excitement with the climate change. I'm not a believer, but maybe, we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
All right.
It will be interesting.
See you on Monday. Thank you, Gunner. Everybody, we'll talk to you again, God willing, Monday. Have a great night and a great weekend.
Good night, folks.